On Global TV News Express, Tinubu orders rescue of 115 as Bago receives 100 Niger schoolgirls. In business, federal government reduces oil block entry cost to $3 billion. On the foreign scene, police deployed to major cities in Tanzania ahead of planned protest. And in sports, Hobel Angels shine brightest as new champions emerge. Hello and welcome to all the viewers in Nigeria and around the world too. Hello and welcome to all the viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Express and Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Ubong Osoro. A quick reminder, Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and StarTimes channel 276. At least 11 Nigerian soldiers are being held by the military regime in Bono Dioulasso in the southwest of Burkina Faso. They were captured after their aircraft conducted an emergency landing while violating Alliance of Sahel States airspace. This was confirmed by the Alliance of Sahel States in a statement shared on X by security analyst Brant Grant. A wave of relief and jubilation swept through Niger State on Monday as 100 schoolgirls abducted from the St. Mary's Private Catholic Primary and Secondary School in Papari, Agwara local government area returned safely to their families after nearly 3 weeks in captivity. President Bola Tinubu, welcoming the return of the 100 students, immediately renewed effort to secure the release of the remaining 115 pupils and their teachers, directing security agencies to intensify operations and ensure the safe return of all victims. St. Mary's Private Catholic Primary and Secondary School in Papari was invaded on November the 21st, 2025, with the Christian Association of Nigeria claiming that 303 students were abducted by the 23rd of November. 50 of the school children escaped captivity and were reunited with their families. Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has called on all Nigerians to embrace patriotism, not as a title or ceremonial act, but as a daily choice that shapes the nation's progress and global image. Speaking at the national program on Nigeria, My Responsibility, the president, who was represented by the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, emphasized that true patriotism requires individuals and institutions to take responsibility for their country's story, its development, and the well-being of future generations. Our correspondent Kikelomo Okere has details.
Speaking at the event, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who was represented by the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, highlighted the role of civic institutions, community leaders, and citizens in promoting accountability, ethical leadership, and responsible media consumption. He stressed that national progress depends on both visionary leadership and active participation from every Nigerian. The president emphasized that safeguarding the country requires more than weapons or infrastructure. It demands advanced technology, modern systems, and well-motivated personnel who are equipped to respond to today's challenges. He says by strengthening security agencies with innovation and better resources, the nation is laying the foundation for a safer and more resilient future.
Understanding that the destiny of Nigeria does not rest in the hands of a select few in Abuja, but in the daily actions, words, and choices of over 200 million Nigerians scattered all around this country.
Deputy President of the Senate, Jibril Barau, says a strong tax security relationship will create a cycle of mutual legitimacy. He urged citizens to support the state through lawful contribution and the state to uphold its duty to safeguard communities while ensuring stability and respond swiftly to emerging threats.
State and local levels. 2, Pay your taxes where applicable. Taxes help the government provide services like roads, schools, hospitals, and security.
Also, the keynote speaker, Professor Umar Pati, the Vice Chancellor, Federal University of Kashere, Gombe State, underscores the nation's building is not the duty of a select few. It demands the participation of all organizations, public institutions, and everyday citizens rising to the task with clarity and purpose.
Campaign focuses on responsibility for community service. It should be able to reawaken the spirit of volunteerism and communal participation in our communities to promote growth at the grassroots.
The Senior Special Assistant to the President on Citizenship and Leadership, Nasir Bala Aminu, says the initiative championed by the organization stands out as an important reminder of what citizens-led institutions can achieve when they create genuine platforms for participation. By encouraging leaders and communities to embrace a renewed culture of responsibility, routine engagement, and shared commitment to nation building.
This campaign emerged from the understanding that nation building is not the task of government alone, but a collective obligation and that rests upon each citizen, young or old, public or private, rural or urban.
It is clear that securing our nations goes beyond boots on ground. It is about modern tools and advanced technology and highly motivated personnel working with confidence and purpose. But beyond that, it's also about every citizen of Nigeria understanding their role in shaping the country's security and identity. As government invests in innovation and human capacity, citizens are being called to project responsibility, pride, and integrity in their daily lives. From the presidential villa in Abuja, I am Kike Lomo Okeri, Global Television News. Speaking at the event,
in a renewed effort to tackle the rising security threats across Nigeria campuses, the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TETFund, in partnership with Baka's Guard, has convened a two-day national workshop which is aimed at developing a comprehensive security master plan for tertiary institutions. The initiative brings together key stakeholders to chart sustainable measures for safeguarding students and staff. Ramsey Enoch Abo was at the National Securities Universities Commission headquarters in Abuja, venue of the workshop, and now reports.
The two-day workshop brought together security experts, university administrators, government representatives, and technology providers to address what organizers describe as an urgent national priority. Chairman, Board of Trustee, TETFund, Bello Masari, while declaring the workshop open, says campus security is a shared responsibility.
This banditry will not flourish. Okay, police are not doing their job. Are you doing your job? Military are not doing. Are you doing your job? The people living in those isolated places in forests and things, they feed, they clothe. How do they do it? Without the active connivance of the locality surrounding them?
Executive Secretary of TETFund, Sonny Echono, says the proposed security master plan will provide a unified framework for surveillance, intelligence sharing, emergency response, and staff training across all tertiary institutions.
If they go to the marketplace and pick 30 people, it will not make enough impact as going to the school to go and pick 5 or 10 students. Because people know that students are usually helpless, they are vulnerable, they represent the hope and aspirations of all of us as a people.
The director of Baka's Guard in his speech says tertiary institutions are citadels of learning. Therefore, students and instructors need a rest of mind.
It's only in the campus you will find everybody. You have even some security personnel living on campus. Police, soldiers, SSS and all this.
Participants at the workshop expressed optimism that once adopted, the master plan will help strengthen campus safety.
Well, at the end of this workshop, we expect to have a strategic plan that will make our institution have a better improved security arrangement.
This is a wake-up call for us to do better than before. In fact, personally, I've taken note of certain reforms.
Taking it down and implementing it in our various institutions, it will help to bring down the security challenges and insecurity in most tertiary institutions.
Due to the high rate of security situation in the country, the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, in collaboration with Bacchus Guard, have put together a workshop to train and intimate stakeholders on how they can put up surveillance as it has to do with security situations in various tertiary institutions around the country. Ramsey Enoch Agbo reporting for Global TV News.
The federal government has launched a nationwide drive to sensitize Nigerians on the whistleblowing policy. The Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Finance, Raymond Omach, says the one-day program urges citizens to speak up, report financial wrongdoings, and help recover stolen public funds, strengthening the fight against corruption across the nation. Our Benue State correspondent Felicity Ndere reports that the exercise is expected to position the state as a leading example of transparency and accountability. The report.
The sensitization program themed Assessment of Whistleblowing Policy Implementation in Nigeria, the journey so far focused on educating citizens about the importance of reporting financial wrongdoing promptly. Participants were reminded that timely information can prevent greater losses because, as the saying goes, a stitch in time saves 9, with the motto, if you see something, say something.
National reflection of how far we have come and where we must go in the fight against corruption.
In his welcome address, Raymond Omachi, Permanent Secretary, Special Duties, Ministry of Finance, stressed the importance of whistleblowing and the government's willingness to act on credible reports, noting that whistleblowers are fully protected under the national policy, a key tool in the fight against corruption.
The ministry is taking steps to educate Nigerians. This is the step they should do. A fight against corruption is not a one-person job. It is a fight for every one of us. We say the way to report is such that people will not know that we've even reported anything. So we are taking steps to protect those who are bringing these reports.
Representing Governor Hyacinth Alia, the Commissioner for Finance said the workshop aims to boost citizens' involvement in reporting financial malpractice, stressing that the fight against corruption is a collective civil responsibility.
Government money is not personal emolument. Your emolument is what you are paid. Imagine if you knew that others were watching you and this matter could be reported, whatever you are into could be reported anonymously, and that you could be held to account for your actions. It will reduce the level of graft in our system. It is okay to protect the whistleblower. The whistleblower should also note that it is an offense to maliciously send out a report that is wrong.
Adopted by the Federal Executive Council in December 2016, the whistleblowing policy combats corruption by detecting fraud, preventing financial leakages, and promoting accountability. Whistleblowers receive 2.5% to 5% of what was recovered, and incentives consistent recognition is key to encouraging reports of corrupt practices. In Makudi, Felicity Ndere, reporting for Global Television News.
The crisis rocking the People's Democratic Party has deepened as the faction aligned with the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has announced plans to conduct state congresses and a national convention to elect new party officials. The development further widens the division within the PDP, which is already battling parallel leadership structures. Kabir Hassan completes the report.
The
Factional Board of Trustees met at the Lifecam residence of the FCT minister, where its chairman, Mao Ohabunwa, outlined a roadmap to restructure the party from the state level up to national leadership. Ohabunwa stated that the faction is already constituting caretaker committees in states affected by internal dispute, ahead of fresh Congress and a national convention expected to produce new officials. He explained that the move is aimed at restoring fairness, strengthening internal party structure, and rebuilding confidence in the PDP's democratic process.
Like I said, we're also making meaningful progress in organizing affected states, including the constitution of credible caretaker committees to prepare the ground for transparent congresses and subsequent convention process.
The BOT also pledges total support for Abdurrahman Mohammed-led National Working Committee, insisting that the party must be run strictly in line with the Constitution and established guidelines. Ohabunwa emphasizes the Board of Trustees has a moral responsibility to stabilize the party and guide it away from divisions, urging members to remain united as reforms deepen across states.
We're going to work with this NWC. We're going to encourage them. We're going to support them to ensure that the right things are done and that things will be done in line with the law and the guidelines of our great party, PDP.
The PDP crisis intensified as rival bloc aligned with Oyo State's Governor Sheyi Makinde held a separate convention in Ibadan, producing its own national chairman. The Wike group is currently in court seeking to nullify that convention. As both factions prepare for parallel activities, the battle for control of the PDP appears far from over. Kabir Hassan, reporting for Global TV News.
A major milestone in dermatological medicine, as the Nigerian Skin Care Center unveiled two state-of-the-art lysamations, one designed for Agvulgaris treatment and the other dedicated for advanced scar remodeling, the first of its kind in Nigeria and across Africa. Samuel Odi reports for Global Television News.
The breakthrough launch signals a new era of high-precision, non-visible skin care solutions for millions battling with persistent skin conditions. MD and Chief Executive Officer of Niger Skin Limited, Dr. Bashir Malam, said the arrival of the machine demonstrates the organization's commitment to setting new medical standards. He noted that the technology will greatly enhance dermatological care, reduce treatment time, and offer safer alternatives for patients who have long struggled with chronic scarring and pigmentation challenges.
Are willing and really ready to help us, but of course there are limitations.
Taking the audience through the capacity of the equipment, Alex Bondo, the inventor of the technology, described the machine as a fusion of cutting-edge engineering and medical science. He explained that the laser for pimples targets inflammation at vascular levels, while the scar treatment laser restructures damaged tissue with extraordinary precision.
And it was the very first PICO in Sub-Saharan Africa. And now, tonight, thanks to Dr. D, we are going to launch the Accure. The name of the machine is the Accure. It's the very first technology worldwide able to treat acne.
On the underlying cause of pimples, Professor Ono Abel provided insight into why Eckers vascular remains one of the most common yet misunderstood skincare condition.
Pimples is one of the commonest complaints we get in the various skin clinics all over. Most of them are mild. However, no matter how mild they are, usually there's some accompanying psychosocial problems that make it a very important thing, especially among young people.
With the commissioning of these innovative machines, Nigeria takes a decisive step into the future of dermatology, improving access, raising clinical standards, and placing the country on the map as leaders of advanced skincare technology in Africa. Samuel Odi for Global Television News.
You're watching the live broadcast of News Express. When News Express returns, federal government reduces oil block entry cost to $3 billion. Details coming shortly, plus business and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please do stay with us. In business, the federal government has unveiled a 50 million naira student venture capital grant for students across tertiary institutions. The grant is to promote innovation, research excellence, and entrepreneurship. The government said it is targeting 250,000 students in the first cohort, with over 100,000 already enrolled and receiving training in 1,620 centers nationwide. As the 2025 licensing round gets underway, the federal government has reduced the signature bonus from 10 million to 3 million and 7 million naira. The Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission disclosed this in an update on its website. According to the commission, this was part of the government's efforts to reduce entry barriers. Interested in one of the oil blocks listed for the 2025 licensing rounds. On the foreign scene, President Al-Hassan Ouattara says Ivory Coast is a friend to all and an enemy to none. After being sworn in for a fourth term as the country's leader, the 83-year-old was re-elected with nearly 90% of the vote in the October 25th elections. Although turnout in the West African country was relatively low at 50.1%. Uyi Abomofuegbe has the rest of the story.
Chef d'État, ami de la Côte d'Ivoire.
President Ouattara was sworn in after elections in which his two main opponents were excluded from the ballots. The president, who has led Ivory Coast since a violently disputed election in 2010, vowed to loyally defend the constitution at his inauguration. Leaders from 11 African countries attended the ceremony at the presidential palace in the economic capital, Abidjan, as well as former leaders such as Niger's Mamadou Issoufou. Former colonial ruler France, which maintains good relations with Ivory Coast, was represented by National Assembly Speaker Yael Brun-Pivet. The United States sent Jacob Hellberg, Under Secretary of State for Economic Affairs, who was due to meet with Ouattara in the afternoon. Ouattara's two main opponents, Laurent Gbagbo and Tijani Thiam, were excluded from the ballot. Gbagbo due to a criminal conviction and Thiam over nationality issues. Neither politician attended the ceremony. Uyi Abomofuegbe reporting for Global TV News.
The streets in major cities across Tanzania were deserted earlier today as the government urged citizens to stay home for the Independence Day celebration. Police and soldiers were deployed and forces across the country to prevent planned protests ahead of the violent suppression of demonstrations around the October elections. In the worst political violence since independence, hundreds of people were killed and more than 2,000 others were detained in 3 days of protests over the ruling party's victory in the disputed polls. The United Nations has hit out at what it's termed global apathy over widespread suffering as it launches 2026 appeal for humanitarian assistance, which is limited in scope as its operation confronts major funding cuts. UN humanitarian chief Tom Fletcher told reporters that it is a time when the world is experiencing brutality, impunity, indifference, condemning the intensity of the killing and the complete disregard for international law. Zahra Nasser reports.
Plan to raise at least $23 billion to help it. Fletcher said it was also a time when politicians boast of cutting aid, as he unveiled a streamlined plan to raise at least $23 billion to help 87 million people in the world's most dangerous places, such as Gaza, Ukraine, Sudan, Haiti, and Myanmar. He said the United Nations would like to ultimately raise $33 billion to help 135 million people in 2026, but is painfully aware that its overall goal may be difficult to reach, given U.S. President Donald Trump's slashing of foreign aid.
Last year, despite the challenges I've described, the humanitarian community reached 98 million people with our support. And I take heart from the conviction that so many leaders have, including the US President, that 2026 will be a year of peacemaking. A year that can create a once-in-a-generation opportunity to do something extraordinary. The number for you. What do we need in order to save 87 million lives next year? We need protection for our work. We need that energetic peacemaking. And we need $23 billion.
Fletcher said the highly prioritized appeal was based on excruciating life and death choices, adding that he hoped Washington will see the choices made and the reforms undertaken to improve aid efficiency and choose to renew that commitment to help. He added that the UN is simply demanding that the world spend less on defense and more on humanitarian support.
It's therefore based on excruciating life and death choices. Beyond that, of course, there is so much more that we must and should be doing. And as I say, we're asking for only just over 1% of what the world is spending on arms and defense right now. So I'm not asking people to choose between a hospital in Brooklyn and a hospital in Kandahar.
In 2025, the UN's appeal for more than $45 billion was only funded to $12 billion mark, the lowest in a decade. The world body said that only allow it to help 98 million people, 25 million fewer than the year before. Zahra Unasir, reporting for Global Television News.
In sports, it was a thrilling weekend for grassroots women football in Abuja as Overall Angels Academy were crowned champions of the 2025 Games Girls Football Tournament, a rapidly growing platform shaping the future of girl child in the sports. Anita Patrick completes the story. Thank you so much. As Global TV News Express comes to an end, here's a recap of our top stories. A wave of relief and jubilation swept through Niger State on Monday as 100 school children abducted from St. Mary Private Catholic Primary and Secondary School in Papari, Agwara local government area returned safely to their families after nearly 3 weeks in captivity. In business, as the 2025 licensing round gets underway, the federal government has reduced the signature bonus from 10 million to 3 million and 7 million naira. On the foreign scene, President Alassane Ouattara says Ivory Coast is a friend to all and an enemy to none after being sworn in for a 4th term as the country's leader. And in sports, we told you that it was a thrilling weekend for grassroots women football in Abuja as Hova Angels Academy were crowned champions of the 2025 Game Girls Football Tournament in a rapidly growing platform shaping the future of the girl child in the sports. That's it on Global TV News Express. A quick reminder, Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and StarTimes channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen using @Global TV NG. I am Ubong Usoro. Bye for now.